If everybody was completely tuned in, and aligned with what they want, it seemed like we could live in a world of absolute prosperity and joy and freedom.
It is an accurate assessment because the universe responds to desire and the resources expand proportionate to desire.
That's amazing. So does that mean then that all we have to do as humans is to really accept that truth for everybody else and to accept that they have that ability to access
that is what it takes. We want to say here what it is that bothers so many about someone else receiving is that innately they know that much of the resource that exists as a result of their personal desire. It's like doing all of the work and tilling the garden and then somebody else eating the fruit. It just seems wrong. And yet in this universe where ask and it is given, so many are living the contrast, and out of the contrast are born rockets of desire. And the rockets of the desire summon the resources, but only those who are in vibrational alignment receive the benefit of the resources. So there are others who have done the work, who have done the wanting, who have sifted through the data, who have launched the rockets, feel like they're unjustly being ignored, or that someone else is taking what they deserve. And we certainly understand that because you have been part of the process. It's like asking and asking and asking and asking and then having the universe give it to your sister.
Right.
And you say, what's up with that? A parent that did that, if you worked hard, saved your money, did everything that you could think of doing so that you could buy a car, and then your father bought the car but gave it to your sister, you would say, this is injustice, you see. And yet, law of attraction never offers any such injustice because you have to be a vibrational match to what you're asking for.
Wow.
Good stuff in there.
So I have this desire to share the grace I've received from you in my life. For instance, since all the work I've been doing, I see everything coming into alignment in my life. And I recently just came back from India and I traveled all over the country, seeing so much suffering, so much seemingly disalignment, and so many beings. And I became aware of how the majority on this planet seems like live disconnected from this knowing that they could have prosperity, abundance, ease, health, everything that they are entitled by birthright, by just being God in the flesh. And then this fear would arise also, this belief that if, for instance, if everybody just would have what they want, that because we are selfish and we just wanted really to feel good and do what we love, who would really do the hard labor of growing, harvesting, sowing in industries. I mean, all the labor that is not necessarily joyous or fun, but that people do now because they believe in struggle, and a lot of us benefit from, because we love having nice clothes that are made by poor kids in other countries. They're cheap for us. And so how is that in your perspective, in your broader perspective? How do you see a world that is possible, that we can all actually...
Well, we don't have to worry about it because there is enough diversity of belief and expectation that will never be. But let's play the game for just a little bit and pretend that everyone could come into conscious awareness that they should be or do or have anything that they choose, and have practiced through trial and error enough that they are rather specific about what they would choose. So if no one wanted to do those things that you believe so much need to be done, someone would create another way of doing it, because anything that is wanted must always be satisfied. In fact, the fact that they want work is part of what makes you want clothes. And the fact that you want clothes is part of what gives them the work. In other words, there is no injustice. So no one ever could experience something that they are not a vibrational match to. But where the injustice part feels like is that, but if they knew what I know, then they wouldn't be doing what they're doing. And we say, but then you assume that how you think you would feel if you were standing in their shoes is exactly how they feel standing in their shoes. And we promise you there is a big vibrational difference between how you would feel knowing what you know and being there, and how they feel knowing what they know and being there. So the universe never asks of anyone anything that they are incapable of giving, nor does it ever give anyone anything that they are incapable of asking. The balance is just that way. Sometimes it feels like imbalance. In other words, someone could go to an underdeveloped country and bring their idea of how life should be and get a platform with enough attention that they could really beat the drum and activate within a body of people desires that go beyond their expectations. And then there is true feeling of discord that begins to happen. In other words, that's what unrest is. But there isn't anything wrong with that happening, because percolating in that discord are new rockets of desire which will eventually bring those people, as they reach for the next logical step, into a place that feels better for them. That is, in fact, what evolution is. We want to soothe you by saying to you there has never been a crowd on the leading edge. And sometimes the people that are suffering the most are having the most leading edge experience and are offering the greatest rocket of desire. And source energy is answering them in their extreme request in a powerful way. And you're right, much of the world benefits before the very one who did the work that caused the asking. It's really irritating when the chipmunk gets to eat what you have planted, you see.
Okay, I get that. Just receive that. That's extraordinary. It really is extraordinary.
Sometimes people will say or feel, Abraham, I worry about this selfish world that you are purporting or observing, because what if everyone selfishly just wanted to satisfy themselves? And we say the world would be lovely, because everyone knows what's best for them. And if they were purely selfish, not guilty about it, not apologetic about it, just purely wanting and expecting, the universe would be showering this abundance, and everyone would be receiving it, and no one would be complaining about anything, and everything would be moving forward swimmingly. So that's the worst case scenario. Then people say, but what about that mass murderer that I saw that was doing what he wanted to do, and he took his gun and hid in a trunk and shot people all over the place and smiled while he was doing it and set his goals and marked his, today I will kill 10 people, and was glad to do it. If everybody is doing that, wouldn't it be a terrible place to be? And we say, now, let's talk about this emotional scale. And let's talk about where you may be as you are evaluating this gunman. So here you are, where about the most resistant you get on the emotional scale is somewhere around overwhelmment. And you can occasionally dip into fear or feelings of injustice, but usually you're percolating up here in the upper registers and you are feeling pretty good. And so then you look at someone who's doing something like that and you worry about his action, because for you that would be a big jump this way. But for him who's in despair, that revenge that he is seeking, can you see how the revenge that he is seeking does at least give him a sense of empowerment? And can you see that for him, now we're certainly not encouraging that people take their guns and shoot other people, but we are wanting to help you to understand why someone might want to do that and why they might be smiling when they do it, because that felt so much better than the injustice that they were feeling before. This is what's happening all over the world. There are people that have felt such injustice, such unfairness, and the unfairness feels like such powerlessness that they cannot stand it. And so now they offer their revenge, or they offer their terrorism, or whatever you want to call it, and it makes them feel better than the powerlessness that they felt before. And so everyone is moving somewhere along this emotional meter, and everyone is innately guided to things that feel better. And so what we would like the world to understand, if there were a message that we would like to give to the one who feels like taking his gun and shooting someone because he feels so powerless, we would like him to take that mental journey. We would like him to have that mental exercise. We would like him to find the relief. And then we would like him to keep going. We would like him to want to feel better enough that he could reach for other thoughts that would give him more and more and more relief. We would like everyone to take the emotional journey consciously before they take the action journey. All of the suffering and hardship would be solved, you see.
Right. Interesting.
It's very helpful to anyone, though. It's nice to know that you don't have to wait for them to all figure it out in order for you to feel joy. And we know that's the selfishness that is the hardest for you to endure, because when you have this life-giving awakening of being able to feel good no matter what, that is a gift that you want to give to others. We have to say to you, you can't give that gift to someone who's not ready to receive it. They would just as soon take a gun and shoot you.
Right. It's true. Now, in relationship to our country and what's going on, I feel like a lot of us present in this room and all over this country do not believe in retaliation, do not believe in what our government has chosen to do in Iraq.
Well, you might say that, and you, on some level, would be accurate in saying that. And yet, most of those same people, if somebody hit you, you'd want to hit them back.
Right.
You say we don't believe in retaliation, but you also don't believe in feeling disempowered. And if someone big came and said to you, you cannot leave your house, we do not think that you would say, oh, we don't believe in retaliation, so we will just stay in our house from now on. We think that something would rise up within you and you would find a way of regaining your sense of control of your own experience, don't you think?
Absolutely. Yeah, actually, I noticed when the Twin Towers happened, the rage arose in me, and the retaliation that you're talking about absolutely came up from me. Like, oh, I just want every person who would be that unconscious to die. And then I realized, oh my God, look at the violence in that. I want to just kill them.
But it felt better, didn't it?
It did feel bad.
It felt better than the powerlessness that you felt.
However, we know by law of attraction that whatever we put out, we get. So we're just in this rut of, I'm putting out violence, and now we are, as a collective, engaged in this duality of them against me, instead of realizing that there's truly one of us and that we can all have.
But you see, you're only engaged in that duality if something about it is causing you to feel negative emotion. Today, you could take your emotional journey right out of that. In other words, you never have to be upset about any of that again.
It feels selfish,
and if you are able to take the emotional journey so that you are not a player in it, then we promise you will never ever be able to get swept up as the action player. It works with chipmunks too. We're not kidding you. In other words, anything that seems pesky or horrible in your experience is only there by your vibrational invitation. And so what many would say is, well, I didn't invite it on purpose. It was there and I couldn't help but observe it. And we say, yes, you can help but observe it. But you can't change the direction of your thought all at once. You just have to want so much to feel good that you're willing to reach for thoughts that do feel better. And eventually you'll be in a place where you feel free.
I love it. I feel very close to that, but I feel extremely guilty at times. I feel
because
it's like, come on, you don't care. You're not even looking at the news. You're just dancing in your yard and traveling and having a great time.
Well, then soothe yourself by saying, if I give my undivided attention to the horrible things that are happening around the world, will those horrible things diminish or increase? By my shining the spotlight on, am I the exception in the universe? Can I push against something not wanted and be part of the obliteration of it? Or am I part of the law of attraction of it? Do I make it more? Now, let's see. If I think about it in terms of what religions dictate, or what my government dictates, or what my mother thought I should do, or what my father thought I should do, or what Gandhi said I should do. In other words, whose way of living should I follow? Or do I pay attention to the emotional journey that I'm taking? So let's see. What does my guidance tell me? My guidance tells me that anytime I'm focused upon something and it feels good, I'm headed toward what I really want and who I really am. And anytime I'm focused upon something and it feels bad, then I'm headed towards something I don't want and in the opposite direction of who I really am. So let's see. I'll read the newspaper. How does that feel? And which direction am I going? It really is as simple as that. Right. Most people don't want to accept the validity of their own guidance system. Most people still say, change the circumstance and then I'll have a feeling response to the circumstance that I'm observing. Right. And we say, that's what your world is trying to do today.